Hello and welcome back to my channel for those of you who have been here before, and a big welcome to those of you who have come across to find out what it's all about. My channel is Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do the reading for the Taurus 2022 reading. Taurus Sun, Moon, Venus and Rising. If you've got any of those placements, then you will maybe find some interest in this reading. And again, if you don't know where those placements are, if you don't know where your moon or your Venus or your rising is, there is going to be a link in the description box down below for you to go and check that out for yourselves. It's always worth knowing, and you can then kind of relate it to the bigger astrological picture that's going on. And if you are interested in the astrology of the times, then I have just done a Cancer full moon read as well, which you may want to go and check out. So let's go and jump into this reading for Taurus. Taurus 2022 is starting off in January, and I'm not surprised to see this Tower card because we have got, I am a Taurus myself, so I will include myself in this. We have got Uranus sitting in our sign, doing his thing, which is very Tower. Uranus is shaking things up. He's shaking, like, particularly Taurus energy. He's shaking us up. And Taurus does not want to be shaken up, doesn't like it, doesn't feel comfortable with it. But Uranus doesn't really care. Uranus is kind of just saying, like, you know, you've got to change. Things have to change here, Taurus. Things have been stagnant for too long. You've been too comfortable in possibly your uncomfortableness, even if you're not completely satisfied with your life. It's like it's become a comfort zone that we need, or to be shaken out of. And so the Taurus, the Tower energy for me, I always see it as it is an outside energy that kind of comes in, like with Uranus basically coming in and kind of like shaking up everybody's lives, and it's not just Taurus that's experiencing this, but Taurus in particular, because we have that planet in our sign. So what happens is that we kind of like, the Tower itself kind of, for me, represents the structures that we build up around ourselves, all our kind of ideas, rules, regulations. The Tower is very like fixed mind ideas, and Taurus is a very fixed sign, so it's kind of like it's got to be like this because this is how it's always been done, this is how I know it, etc, etc. And so the Tower kind of comes in, it is in reverse, and kind of, so it's saying to me that you know, it's uncomfortable. It's not a situation that Taurus wants to be in, but at the same time, it is breaking us out of that stagnation. It's breaking Taurus energy out of the rut that Taurus has kind of got themselves stuck in, shall we say. And the minor arcana cards here, sorry, I didn't explain previously, just jumped straight in. There's the clock is the reading that I'm doing for this. So each major arcana for a month, so this is January, etc. And then there's minor arcana cards to go along with that as well. 2 minor arcana cards in January. Not all of them are 2, but we have 2 for January. And the first one is the 4 of water. So it's saying to me that there is this emotional situation that is kind of behind a lot of this for Taurus. As I was saying, this kind of feeling of being in a rut, of just being kind of stuck. The 6 of Pentacles here can often imply like for me today, I'm seeing this as something that's just literally like stuck in that fog, that energy. And I'm seeing the same thing here as well. Here she's holding this pearl out, and I always see this as kind of like a crystal ball. And a crystal ball, of course, is all about knowing what's coming in the future. All about kind of seeing into, or seeing into the past as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be the future. There is also an energy here of seeing into the past. But the 4 is also dissatisfaction with what you're experiencing, which I feel is this, what I was saying about this kind of feeling of uncomfortableness, or comfort, should I say, within that uncomfortableness. So it's like we've got so stuck in feeling uncomfortable that we don't recognize that we're uncomfortable anymore. So we're kind of feeling dissatisfaction, but at the same time there's this kind of energy of like, but that's okay. That's okay. I can compromise with that. I can cope with that. I can deal with that. I can make it kind of fit how I want it to be. I can make it suit myself here. But there just seems to be this kind of fogginess around everything. In both of these cards, like nothing is clear. There's no clear-cut path. Which I suppose in some ways with the Tower energy here as well, it is kind of like removing all of those structures, not just structures, but the things that we rely on, the crutches that we lean on. Even people that have been in our lives for a long time can all be removed. People who we would normally kind of turn to at times of like Tower moments may no longer be a part of our lives anymore. It's like outgrowing something. I always see the Tower as outgrowing energies, outgrowing that, like a kind of snake in a way, out shedding its skin. It's kind of like breaking down all those rules, regulations, limitations. So something quite major is happening in that respect, Taurus, because although it's a major Arcana card, the Tower is always a big event. And whether we know it or not, it's something that we're almost kind of bringing in to change our lives for us. But with Uranus there, we don't really have much of a say in it. And as we move into February, we have the World card here. And the World card is saying to me in reverse here that there is this need to close out this cycle. There is a cycle closing, but we're still not actually at the end of it, but we're getting to the end of it here. We're getting closer to the end of it. We're getting closer to actually allowing things to be ended, to be finished, to finish that cycle. It also comes out with the Queen of Air here, Queen of Swords, in reverse. So there may be, because it's in reverse, there may be this feeling of not feeling like we can close this out because there's communication. It feels like lack of communication. There's things that need to be said, or you feel, Taurus, as though there's things that need to be said, conversations that need to be had before you can close this out, before something can come to a real conclusion and you can move on knowing that that cycle has ended. But when cycles come in, when one cycle finishes and another cycle begins, there's no fanfare that kind of tells us that this is the end of this cycle. It's purely something when we look back in retrospect and we kind of go, oh, okay, so that's how, when that changed, and that's when that energy shifted, and that's when I started doing this instead of carrying on doing that kind of thing. So also, interestingly, Mercury retrograde is coming up for me here as well. Mercury is going to station in February on the 4th of February, but he won't be out of his shadow, pardon me, until later in the month. Sorry about that. Till later in the month, so there could still be this kind of lingering need to communicate, and very much up in our heads here as well. It feels like very much up in our heads, very logical about something, looking at things in a very logical fashion, and maybe feeling disconnected from the feelings, from our heart energy as well, like kind of like separating those energies, separating the heart and the mind, instead of kind of having that emotional awareness when the two are kind of working together. It's like all of this is kind of coming from the head energy, from the thinking, from the logical, kind of like, when I say logical, it's kind of like following like this. It's like, oh, if that happened, then this happened then, and kind of like seeing things in a very kind of, I don't want to use the word logical again, but that's kind of how it's coming out. Like really kind of taking the emotions out of this situation. And you yourself may also be feeling quite kind of closed off in a way, Taurus, not wanting to communicate at this time. Even though there is this kind of real pull to communicate, to actually express how you're feeling, but at the same time holding it all back and holding it all in, which is why it's all going into the head space, I feel, because it's not being able to be verbalized, to be voiced at this time. So I'm going to quickly do some confirmation cards, because I was going to do them after each month, but again I kind of get carried away and rush into things. We have at the bottom of this deck of cards the world in reverse as well, so there is a kind of ending of this cycle. Something is coming to a close, but at the same time it is something that's, it feels like it's taking a long time. This is a long cycle, Taurus. This is something that you've been in for quite some time, and you're feeling kind of like really getting to the end of something now, kind of like that's enough. You know, I really just need to change this. Maybe that's where this Tower energy is coming in from January as well. So let's see what this Tower energy is for Taurus. For Taurus in 2022, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Venus, rising. We have the Queen of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles is upright. This is the Taurus energy. So there is stability here. And there is this kind of looking at this. It feels like the new, the future, the kind of like, yeah, the new, what's coming in. energy, and it came out that way round. So the Queen of Pentacles was the first energy, and it feels like she's kind of looking here at what can she build with this for her future. Like with this Tower energy and wanting to kind of come out of this. So even though there is all this chaos in many ways happening all around, it does feel on some level that Taurus is kind of staying grounded within it all. Taurus's feet are kind of firmly planted through all this chaos, and they're looking ahead, focusing on the future. Well, this is what's going to be the kind of outcome from this tower. And I also always see the Three of Pentacles as being an energy of coming together with other people. Like not having to do things on your own, Taurus, because Taurians can be male or female. Energy doesn't make any difference here. Can be very self-sufficient, very self-contained, and not necessarily very... It's not that they're not team players, Tauruses, because we are team players, but at the same time we are very self-reliant. We know on some level, Taurus knows that, you know, at the end of the day they have to rely on themselves. The only person that you can really rely on is yourself in life. And that's a lesson that Taurus learns quite early in many ways. But it feels like there's more people coming in to kind of share, build, community, networking, ideas possibly being exchanged. So it feels like a really good energy after this tower, because this is what's being shaken up out of the comfort zone. Comes this energy of almost like realizing that you don't have to do this on your own, Taurus. That you can still be strong and nurturing and but it feels like in many ways it feels like Taurus is kind of stepping into that role of being that provider. By bringing people together. So let's see what we have here over the top of the world and the Queen of Air. We have the Five of Swords and the Judgment card. And the Five of Swords is about winning at all costs. To the point of self-sabotage sometimes, Taurus. There can be this element of self-sabotage when the when the Five of Swords is in the mix. So if you see there, he's got all these swords, he's gathered them together, he's got two in his hand there, he's picking up that third. There's two laying on the ground, but that face kind of like he's gleeful. He's gleeful. He's kind of really pleased that he's managed to defeat. But there is always a sense with this Five of Swords that you're not actually doing yourself any favours here. So this could have something to do, because it's come out over the top of this World card and this Queen of Swords here as well. The same kind of energy, the mind energy. So this is saying to me that when or if communication does open up here, be careful, Taurus, that you don't, be careful of your words, because, or words of others as well, because they can be sharp and they can cut deeply. And also it could be the point of no return. Like once something is said, there's no taking it back type of energy. Sorry, my cat has just leapt on the table. That's her towel. Come on. So this is my other cat. This is Mib. So there is a warning there, and it's come out with the Judgment card as well. So it feels as though something is being, with this World card as well, something is being kind of finalized, called out. Something is being called out, or somebody is being called out. Either you're doing the calling out of somebody who maybe their actions or the way that they have behaved towards you has not been, maybe, come on, off, has not been, what's the word I'm looking for, has not been fair or just. Because the Judgment is calling up ghosts from the past. So there's a situation I feel here that needs to be let go. You see here, these people here are coming out of these graves, out of these coffins, and they represent symbolically the past rising back up. So it could be something to do with somebody coming back into your life, Taurus, situations, people. Could be family, it could be friends, it could be a work situation, it could be a personal, intimate relationship situation, but something where somebody you feel has been deceitful, has lied possibly. But it's being dragged back up. It's being dragged back up because it needs to be released in order for this cycle to be finalized. But interestingly, as we move into March, the two major Arcana cards that have come out together is the Lovers and Death. And when I saw this, I immediately thought of Venus and Pluto. Pardon me, who are going to be playing a huge part right the way through 2022 into 2023. And Venus comes out of her shadow in March as well. Although she turns retrograde on the 29th of January, she doesn't actually come out of her shadow until about March the 3rd. So early March, when she'll actually come out of that shadow period. And when she does so, she will be conjunct, which means she'll be next to Pluto. So there are things here to do with relationships that are either going to totally finish, like it's going to completely end. And it's interesting, of course, because the nodes, as I'm doing this reading literally today, the nodes, the north node, which is our focus, our karmic destiny for the collective at this time, has just moved into Taurus. And the south node, which always follows opposite the north node, has just moved into Scorpio. So these are those two energies right here, which in March are going to be even more profoundly in our lives because of the fact that Venus and Pluto are going to conjunct again. So there is something here that is bringing back a relationship, bringing something back, because Pluto can transform. It can be like evolutionary energy, it can take it to another level, or it can finish, it can cut things off completely. It can say, that's it, end of. And we have, with the Death and the Lovers card, sorry, a bit glary there, we have the Six of Fire, but it is in reverse. And I always see this card because it's said to do with victory, said to do kind of, if it's upright and it's about rising up above something, it's about kind of being elevated, feeling good, feeling kind of bountiful. It feels like joy. I always see this as kind of a bit Jupiterish in a way, in the sense of expansion of something, like something expanding and kind of lifting up. But when it's in reverse, it feels more like it's a plummeting energy. So if it's to do with victory, it feels like there is no victory. It's like a balloon that's just kind of deflated. It's just kind of sinking. So Taurus, it could have something to do with this. If there is something that's coming back round, you may feel deflated or defeated by it before it even kind of has any chance of resolving. You may be feeling, oh, no, not again. Here we go again. There may be that kind of feeling. And because the Lovers is also to do with choices as well, it reflects the person, it reflects the person that we have a relationship, intimate relationship with, reflects how we feel about ourselves. So if we've grown, and if we've matured, and if we've transformed, and if we've evolved past that energy, then we're no longer resonating with that person. But that doesn't mean that there isn't still something there, an attraction. But if both people have grown separately, then there can be an evolutionary leap as well. But with this card here, it just feels, Taurus, as though you're just kind of like dreading this situation. Possibly almost like you have some inclination in a way of what's coming, because of the fact that the North Node has moved into Taurus. like I was saying, the focus of attention is going to very much be on the Taurus energy for the next year and a half. Venus being the kind of planet of relationships and love, and I always see what was I going to say? Sorry, my brain just went. I always personally see Venus, or sorry, the Lovers card as being more Libra than I do see it as being Gemini. I know a lot of people say Lovers is a Gemini card, but I always think that Gemini is much more of a logical energy, and love is not about logic. Love is about the heart, and I think that's much more Libra energy, because Libra is ruled by Venus, whereas Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So there is this kind of like much more well, and also Libra kind of is that 7th house of relationships as well, so it kind of makes complete sense to me. So we have the 3 of Swords here. So whoops. There is definitely heartache in this situation. There is definitely something that has been quite wounding. Even a sense of somebody betraying the other. The 3 of Swords can include a 3rd person because of the fact that there's 3 swords there. Each one of those swords represents a different mind, if you like, a different mentality. But there is wounding here. And wounds can be old wounds that need to be let go of, which could also be what's being said here. We have with it the 2 of Wands. In reverse. And I'm just kind of noticing these roses, these flowers down here on this side. Roses, of course, being the symbol of love. But it's in reverse. He's holding the world here in his hand as well. So it's almost like, feels like something that's being offered the world. So there could be something coming back round which is going to trigger, I feel, something deeply within you, Taurus, a deep wounding that maybe has not been resolved, and that could also be something to do with that Queen of Fire. Get it right, Colette. The Queen of Swords, which is known as the Queen of Air in this deck that I'm using. So, yeah, her energy of lack of communication, being cut off, not being able to express yourself, and you may feel that on a deeper level, Taurus, that if this person does come back and does kind of offer you the world and a new chance, because there's 2 wands either side here as well, so it's kind of saying to me that this is about that bringing things together, starting to build a structure, foundations for something. But it is in reverse. So there's every possibility that you, Taurus, don't trust this person or this offer of the world, or being told that you are this person's world, that you mean the world to them, and they may mean the world to you as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to let them back into your life. But in saying that, we do have the 10 of coins, and the 10 of coins is about happy, successful family, legacy, kind of bringing something back to completion. Like whereas before it wasn't completed. But it's interesting that it's the 10 of coins and not the 10 of cups. So for some, this could be, it could be something that becomes like more of a beneficial friendship or relationship, something that's going to help you to understand your self-worth here as well. It's a very bountiful energy, the 10 of coins. It does talk about that success. It's very bountiful. It's full of kind of abundance. But this could be your energy, Taurus, and you kind of like and it's interesting because I'm kind of getting it either way, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not you, for some people, for some this relationship will be going to another level. So it will kind of rekindle and it will take it to another kind of evolutionary leap, dealing with the pain and the separation, because there is a sense of separation here as well. And so it will kind of become that successful, abundant, fulfilling relationship. But for others, it's kind of like you make the decision not to go back to this, and you feel good. You feel good about it. It makes you feel good, is how this is coming through. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like I was saying, with this Queen of Pentacles here being very kind of like self-sufficient and very capable, and not needing to have other people in her life in that respect for doing, you know, very self-reliant. But the Queen of Pentacles chooses. She chooses whether to have people in her life or not. There is a side of the Queen of Pentacles as well, where if you cross her too many times, she will not forgive or forget. And if she does forgive, she's still, it's like, that's it, you're out. She can forgive in her heart, but that doesn't mean she'll forgive you and let her back in. I always kind of see it as the drawbridge, with the queen sitting in her castle, and you cross her once, and you apologise, she may let that drawbridge down and let you back in. But if you do it more times than she's going to allow, then that drawbridge will come up and that will be it. She will not let you back in. So there is that she chooses who she lets in her life, because she does know her self-worth here. So, and of course Pentacles is that earth energy. So as we leave March and move into April, we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is kind of saying that things are shifting, the energy is moving. And what I find interesting about this card, relating it to the astrology, is the fact that this is Jupiter energy here. Again, as I was talking about here with this, I felt like that this was quite Jupiter energy, but kind of like deflated Jupiter energy, not feeling joyful or optimistic or feeling victorious about the situation. Whereas this energy with Jupiter here, with the Wheel of Fortune, there is in April going to be that big conjunction taking place between Jupiter and Neptune, which is happening in Pisces. And we've got the dolphins down here as well, so, which are kind of water creatures. And the dolphins for me always represent kind of fun. They're a fun animal. They're a happy, kind of like cheeky, kind of like they always say to me, like, you know, enjoy the ride, enjoy life, have fun. So that could be the energy that's coming in April for you, Taurus, is just kind of like satisfaction. It feels, it feels almost like just a sense of just going with the flow, not trying to fight anything, not trying to fight the tide, not trying to kind of turn the clock back. There's a sense of that as well, not looking into the past anymore, not kind of holding on to that energy. But it has come out with the 4 of air and the 2 of fire, which we also had here as well, with this energy here. Both in reverse. But this is a very different kind of 2 of fire, I feel. This one, for me, is a sense of lack of direction. I always see this in, especially when it's in reverse. A sense of kind of not really knowing where you're going, how you're going to get there. And it's come out with the 4 of air, and the 4 of air is that kind of sense of taking a backward step, in the sense of not acting on anything, which is kind of what I'm feeling with this Wheel of Fortune as well, like kind of waiting to see where it's going to take you, Taurus, not acting on it, not kind of trying to control it, seeing what happens next is kind of what's coming out for me here. And a sense of, because the Wheel of Fortune is upright, there is this sense of just enjoying the energy, letting yourself kind of be in it. Even though the Two of Fire is in reverse, it does kind of feel like yeah, just kind of sitting in it, not trying to direct anything, not trying to control anything. Which can be a good place to be. With that Four of Air there as well, a sense of kind of like a healing, a sense of not wanting to get involved too deeply into something too soon. Like, it just feels like sitting back, like letting the clouds pass, just kind of like waiting to see what's coming. And then we have the King of Cups energy here. So the King of Cups is an energy of emotional, especially when he's upright, emotional integrity. This can be big love, the King of Cups. He expresses how he feels. He doesn't hold back. And this could be your energy, Taurus, or this could be somebody who's coming into your life who is going to tell you how they feel. Or this could just be kind of creating that energy for yourself, that loving yourself first energy. It's very compassionate energy, very empathic energy. Usually the King of Cups is an energy for people who work in the caring industries, people who like to take care of other people. They're naturally drawn to that. They're naturally drawn to emotionally connect, because he's sitting here, he's got his foot in the water here as well, or just on the edge. Actually, it's not actually in the water. But if you look at the seas around, they're kind of a bit choppy and a bit rough, but he's sitting very securely in his emotions. So this is, like I was saying, this could be somebody coming into your life who has this kind of energy about them, the water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces energy. Or this could be you yourself, Taurus, who are going to be feeling much more open, expressive, sensitive in that place. But it's come out over the top of this Wheel of Fortune. So it kind of feels like, as I was saying here, that, you know, just kind of sitting and waiting to see what's coming next. Not taking action on anything, not trying to control anything. And when you kind of let go of that, in comes this energy. And it doesn't have to be a water sign either, it can be any sign, but it's kind of saying that this is like, this is an opportunity to have love in your life here. Like this person I think what it's kind of saying is don't close yourself off to this, Taurus. So we then have, and I haven't read this verse again, leaping in, we have the Hangman in reverse. And the Hangman energy can feel like, how do you put it, almost like limbo, like limbo land, like kind of hanging in a state of, because it's in reverse. Like if it was upright, I would say that it's to do with kind of seeing things differently. It's kind of having a new perception, a new understanding of something, a way of like seeing things in a different way. But it's not in reverse. It's not upright, it's in reverse. So it could be that with this energy from April of this Wheel of Fortune, this King of Cups, that it's kind of saying surrender. But it feels like you're kind of leaping back into that kind of wanting to be in control, wanting to, because that could be another thing with the earth, like fixed energy, wanting to be in control of it, wanting to understand it, not allowing yourself to open up to all the possibilities that are there, because you want to know what's coming next. You want to know in what's the word I'm looking for? You want to know in advance how you can deal with it. How can you cope with it? When really you need to let go of this and just be in the now moment is what this is saying to me here. Because you also have the Page of Fire, Page of Wands. And this card for me is, I'm seeing kind of these two similarities here with this moon here, and then there's this like planetoid type thing that's hanging in the sky there with all this around it here. And there is something very mechanical about this as well. If you look at that, it's kind of like his toes are right on the edge of this cog, this wheel. And again, of course, we're coming out of this Wheel of Fortune energy here. So it feels as though you're kind of leaping back into that place again of kind of like, I have to know how to deal with it. I have to know. And it feels like it's to do with this. It's to do with love. And you kind of leap back into that place of like, needing to be in control or in charge. Like trying to deal with the situation in a very kind of mechanical way. Because we also have, like I was saying, this down here as well, which I'm seeing. And I'm just getting this thing about kind of this person here who's a page, which is always a young energy. Always a young child like energy, that this kind of has that kind of effect on you, Taurus. And that maybe there's something that you need to look into here to do with childhood. The Page of Wands to me kind of conjures up images of like a fantasy world, a fantasy realm, living in a fantasy world. Like it all seems like fantasy. Possibly there's something to do with that as well, with this love energy, that it all seems like too fantastical or like in the sense of fantasy. Like it not being real. I'm also getting this sense of kind of not knowing how to deal with it. Possibly also a sense of overwhelming. Like it's overwhelming. Because when this card is upright, there's also this kind of transformative energy that's taking place here as well, because there's butterflies flitting around her. And this tiger, talking of flitting, and there's tiger down here as well, which kind of, for me, offers protection. So let's see what else comes out here. Actually, I've already pulled the energy for this, and it is the Page of Pentacles as well. In reverse, so it does feel as though something kind of triggers. There's a trigger here, which kind of takes you back into that like child state. That young, there's something young about this energy, possibly also young, like innocence. And maybe also you feeling as though you need to protect yourself. Is what's coming through here as well. And it feels like almost like a barrier. I'm seeing these lights here, it's kind of this barrier that you kind of put up instantly. And the Page of Pentacles is about growth, and it's about kind of like planting for the future, like with this coin here. He's kind of studying it. If you look there, he's kind of looking at it, studying it, wondering what he can do with it. Pages are always in need of growth to experience, to become mature. They need experience in order to grow. But when it's in reverse, it's kind of saying that something is stunted. And maybe it's also to do with your values here as well. How do you value this? How do you value love? There seems to be a connection here between the value of love and it feels to me as though it's something that goes back to childhood because of these two pages here. And it could be a family situation, it could have something to do with your parenting, or the role models that were in your life. But something, it feels like something becomes triggered within that energy. That you don't feel comfortable about, Taurus. So there may be a need to take a deeper look at that, because it does feel like it becomes a mechanical way of dealing with it. Mechanical way of dealing with love. Like this has to fit here and this has to fit here, and then if that works then this bit will work, and rather than kind of just going with that flow. So we have the Temperance card here, which does talk about relationships. Temperance in the Greek mythology only ever existed within a relationship, when there was a relationship. So she kind of is that relationship itself. It wasn't in reverse, I don't think. It was actually upright. So it's alchemical. There's something very alchemical about it as well, because it's kind of trying to mix these two elements together. And normally it shows an angel with like a silver cup and a gold cup, which represents the kind of duality, the masculine and the feminine energies kind of coming together. And then as well as there being those two entities, there is also kind of like the relationship itself, which is temperance. And there is this heart here as well. There is this rainbow heart. So it feels as though you're kind of learning something from this, Taurus. That you are growing. And accepting. I'm seeing this as kind of like something that is being given to you, like her arms are outstretched and she's kind of accepting it, like accepting that love into your life, realizing that kind of if you keep triggering this same energy, you're just going to end up here all the time, like going through, like always trying to build something is what I'm getting. Always in that situation of trying to build something and getting to a certain point and then it all falling apart. And because of the fact that the North Node is in Taurus and it's all Venus energy, and Venus is the number, the vibratory number of 2022 is 6, which is the Venus number. So it really is about the heart and relationships and bringing things together that are meant to be together. And that's kind of how it feels for me with this Temperance card, because you also have the 8 of Earth here as well. So there is this kind of building on something or rebuilding something. And the 8 of Earth here is literally this kind of violin being formed out of this tree. So it's kind of saying to me that it's not complete, that there's still, I want to say, room for improvement. That you're still, that it's work in process, actually, is how it's coming through. Like work in process. You are a work in process. So maybe not to be quite so hard on yourself here as well. We have the Six of Swords come out with this energy. Which, the Six of Swords is an energy of leaving turbulent waters behind, leaving the past behind, moving into calmer, more serene, less emotionally charged, emotionally turbulent energy. So it does feel like there is growth here. For Taurus, because it feels to me as though in June you're kind of coming to the conclusion that you don't want to go back to that same experiences. You want to grow and learn and understand and connect as well, and accept this love into your life. Is how it's coming through here. Leaving the past in the past, not bringing it into your future. Doesn't belong in the future. And that can just be memories as well. Like leaving those memories in the past, not necessarily the person, but the memories that go with it. For some, it may also be just moving on from the whole thing, just moving on in order to create something new, to create a new experience with Temperance. And as you move into July, Taurus, we have this wonderful energy of the Empress, which is the Taurus energy, Venus energy, new life, abundance, growth is really what's coming through for me here. Growth on a massive scale. Really understanding things a lot deeper, like connected to things in a much deeper way. Connecting to yourself, and as you connect more deeply to yourself, you connect with everything else around you. And you understand also the connection between yourself and everything else, and the abundance. She's holding a baby here as well, which can represent new life. It doesn't mean that pregnancy, although the Empress is permanently pregnant, because she's permanently pregnant with potential for new life. And new life does not always have to mean having a baby, although for some, I'm sure that will be the case. Not just could be, but will be. But yeah, new life as in the sense of something new something fresh, something that's going to take you out of that past energy. A whole new beginning in many ways, because we also have the Two of Water here. And the Two of Water, the Two of Cups, I feel is about sharing this abundance and this potential for new life with somebody new, with somebody who's coming into your vibratory being, somebody who you connect with on a very deep vibratory level. Like I was saying earlier, that if this person comes back into your life and they're not on that vibratory level, then it's not going to work. If that person hasn't evolved, or you haven't evolved, Taurus, but I do feel as though there is growth happening here, and in July it feels as though something very special is going to be happening here, something that's going to be very rewarding. Very rewarding is how it feels. So let's see what the confirmation energy for this is. Okay, interesting. We have the Two of Swords. So a decision, but it is in reverse, so it does feel, sorry about that glare, that's better if I put it closer actually. Two of Swords, and the Moon is kind of saying to me that this needs to be a gut decision, instinctual decision here. She is blindfolded, so she doesn't know which path she's taking. And we have the Wheel of Fortune again. This time it's in reverse. So there may be this feeling like with this energy coming in, there may be a part of you, Taurus, that doesn't feel as though how can I put it, that you're deserving of this, or like a sense of like, is it just going to be the same thing? Like, you know, if I get on that wheel, is it just going to take me to the same place that it's always taken me before? Which is kind of like, you know, blind trust here as well. Which is why I feel this is kind of an instinctual situation. But we do have the Fool energy here, upright. So this is kind of saying that this, you know, this new path is opening up here. There is this new path opening up. But you may be a bit wary about it. And you may initially kind of stay stuck, shall we say, with that decision. Like, not sure whether to leap into this or not. Feels in some level kind of almost too good to be true to you. But the Fool is kind of saying, again, you know, trust your instinct, which is what this is saying to me down here with this moon. Trust your instinct. And if the Fool was in reverse as well, I would be saying don't do it. That would not be a good path to leap into. But the Fool is upright, and it is kind of, again, that new start, that new life, that new approach to something. Is how that's coming through for me. Trust what's opening up for you, Taurus. Trust in yourself. And maybe you do need to kind of take time out there with that Wheel of Fortune in reverse to not kind of leap ahead of yourself, not to try and kind of make it not to bring the future into the present, if you know what I mean, kind of trying not to leap ahead, yeah, not to try and get to the end before you've actually gone through the process of the steps that need to be taken in order to get there. The Two of Swords can also be a decision that you kind of feel as though, like, whichever decision you make, there's going to be consequences. There always is consequences, of course, but you feel as though nobody's going to I could put it like, it could even be, okay, could even be that you don't want to make the decision. You want somebody else to make that decision for you. You would much rather somebody else took it out of your hands so that you don't have to have the responsibility of the consequences. Kind of like, if I don't make the decision, then I'm not responsible for that. It's not my, you know, whatever happens with the Wheel of Fortune turning, once the decision has been made, then I don't have to be responsible. I can then kind of turn it on somebody else. Is kind of how that's coming through, actually. But the Fool, as I was saying, it is about taking that leap. With that rose in his hand as well, again kind of representing the new, the pure, the innocent. Trusting in the journey, trusting in the universe, trusting where you're going to be taken. That this is different, that this is a different time. Different time, different place, different experiences. And we have the Judgment energy here again. So again, letting go of the old. Seems to be a lot of this happening at the moment for you, Taurus. A lot of letting go of the old, moving into something new. If you see, there's kind of like this phoenix bird here. Like there's these people rising up out of, again, kind of out of the ground, which always represents symbolically letting go of situations, of the kind of ghosts that you carry, the baggage that you carry emotionally. And then there's this, there we go, this beautiful kind of fire spirit, which looks to me like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, which is you up here. Again, kind of, it feels like something growing. Evolving is what I'm getting here, like you as an individual beginning to evolve and see things from a higher perspective. But we do also have the 3 of fire here as well, in reverse. So the 3 of fire, for me, this card here talks about kind of the change of direction, the wind blowing, going in a different direction, where you thought you were heading, not necessarily going to be heading in that same direction. And again, kind of, it feels like changing course, changing your mind. It could also be that you didn't expect to find yourself here at this point in your life. And we also have the 6 of coins that's come out with this. So this is, again, that kind of energy of, and you had that earlier as well, which can be to do with compromise. And it's come out upright both times. Compromise, benevolence. A feeling of charity. A feeling of being in a situation or a position where you can give more than you might have been able to give in the past. This 3 of fire as well is talking about kind of waiting for something, waiting for the ships to come in August. Like, again, this feeling of not being able to move on in your life until you've cleared things out. And there seems to be a lot of this at this time. But again, of course, like going back to this tower with Uranus here as well, you know, there could be a lot of that happening throughout this year, and also with the North Node and the South Node in Scorpio, a lot of kind of clearing out of the old Taurus, making room, making space for new experiences, but having to kind of wait for the right time in order to balance things out. To bring things into a place of feeling like you are in a position of equality, in a way, is what's coming through here. Which is interesting. Because we just got the 9 of coins here as well, and the 9 of coins is your self-worth. So I will read that in a bit. But the Chariot energy is saying to me here, and it's similar, I feel as though it's similar to this 3 of fire energy. The Chariot talks to me about not like rushing into something. It's about, again, balance, because these 2 horses, you can see those horses there, and the Chariot is also, I will say, for me, it's Mars energy, it's Aries energy. I do not see it as Cancer energy. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I do not follow the Aleister Crowley school of tarot. So I have my own views on the cards, and for me the Chariot is that kind of pushing ahead energy, forcefully kind of taking direction, taking the reins into your own hands so that you are the master of your own destiny here, but it's in reverse. So there may be a kind of feeling of how can you put it, this energy of, I want to say, kind of being pulled in 2 separate directions. It's come out with the Page of Wands as well, so that again is that childlike energy, that young energy, and it's in reverse. And I often see this card as a very kind of playful, been in the kind of dressing up box type energy. So something that's not being revealed. But there's also, it feels like a need to kind of dive deeper. Page of Wands can also be to do with a healing process. It feels like being pulled in 2 separate directions over something. And needing to try and kind of find that middle path. Because if you're in this Chariot that's kind of got these 2 horses that are wanting to go in 2 separate directions, you're going to end up either kind of like in those waves. It's very glary in those waves there, kind of soaked and stranded. So there kind of feels like there needs to be this bringing things together, bringing two sides or something together, two sides of yourself, two sides of a situation that you're in. But somehow things need to be brought into harmony, balance again. And also this side, like this page of water, can be very, especially when it's in reverse. I mean, all the pages when they're in reverse are very immature energies, literally, because they are young energy. So they are immature. So there is something about them needing to, like, again, experience and grow up. But there's also something here about them being like mischievous. This could also be inner child work as well, inner healing, in child healing work. Possibly the need to bring your past and your present into harmony, instead of separating it. I know it's good to put things in the past, but this is kind of saying that this is all you. This is all you. It's kind of like you can't discard this and just kind of like leave it over there. Because you would just keep getting dragged back into that energy, into that kind of immature, emotional, blocked energy. It's kind of saying to me that this inner child being here is needing to be recognized, needing to be let out. There's a playfulness in this page of water, and it feels as though there's this sense of being very disconnected from it. Taurus, like there's a disconnection from that side of your energy, that playful, youthful, also feels like mischievous as well. Like this side of yourself that kind of can come out in the wrong way at the wrong time, is how it's coming through. That emotionally it comes out at times when it's not beneficial or helpful, and it can stop you from being able to move forward in your life. Almost like that inner, it's that inner child, that kind of stunted inner, emotionally kind of, where you go back to when you get emotionally kind of upset, when things are kind of not going the way that you want them to, when you feel out of control, possibly even with the Chariot in reverse. When you feel out of control, going back to this Hangman energy here as well, which was also about triggering kind of things that are out of control. But we do have the Nine of Pentacles here as well. So this is kind of very contrasting energy, because this is saying this is much more about you seeing yourself in this position of strength, self-awareness, but you are the person that has got you to where you are. And it may also be that there's been a lot of struggle here as well. Battling with yourself. Most of the battles that you've had have been with yourself here. But you're kind of beginning to realize that you need to, how can I put it, like pat yourself on the back, or kind of like, you know, congratulate yourself here, because nobody else has been able to do this for you. You are the only person who can get yourself to where you want to be, and that's the same for everybody. Like, other people can give us help, they can give us advice, but at the end of the day, we have to make those decisions. We are the ones who have to actually make the difference. Nobody else can make that difference for us in our lives in that sense. Nobody else can walk our path for us. So there's also a sense here of kind of saying, you know, what is of value for you here as well? Do you, I mean, it's upright, so there is this kind of sense of you valuing yourself here. And recognizing your self-worth. And the struggles as well, that it's taken you to get there. To get to that place of valuing who you are and your experiences in life as well. That without those experiences, you wouldn't be the person that you are. You wouldn't be where you are now. Right, before I shuffle those cards, I'm going to read the next one. So we're at October, and we have the Hermit energy. So this is reflecting energy. Again, it feels like reflecting on this sense of your self-worth. Going into a deeper awareness. And again, it feels like that same kind of sense of knowing who you are. The Hermit is about kind of going into that space to know who you are, to know yourself. Because nobody else can know you better than yourself. So this is what this is saying to me, that this is a time of you kind of coming to terms or really getting to know yourself better. It's come out with the Five of Water here as well. And the Five of Water talks about a sense of a despair, overwhelming emotion. But I feel as though this is also to do with mastery as well. As I was saying, that this energy here was more about that inner child that brings out that side of your emotional being. Like when you get upset, Taurus, you go to this place of this child that's still kind of stuck and hurt. So emotionally you will react or respond from that same energy. of where maybe something traumatic took place in your life and you're still emotionally in that energy. And it feels as though you're kind of recognizing this sense of connection to that, and you're mastering. So you're no longer allowing this to overwhelm you. You are becoming the master of it. Again, growth, maturity. So let's see what's happening for Taurus in October. Okay, take that one. The Four of Wands. Celebration. Foundation for something stronger, building something stronger with stronger foundations. A lot of people see this as a card of kind of celebration, engagement, kind of taking things to another level, which it could be. When it comes to a relationship. It's interesting as well because you've got the Two of Wands twice here as well. You've got Two of Wands here, and then you've got the Two of Wands here, kind of creating that Four of Wands here. So it's kind of saying to me that things are structurally, if you like, kind of like foundationally, like things are becoming more stable. That's how it feels. There's a stability within this energy. Like you yourself are becoming more stable on an emotional, on a deeper emotional level. Your world is not as chaotic or fragile or that kind of deep sense of despairing about what's happened in your world. Past energy still affecting the present energy. It feels as though that's kind of going in that sense. Again, I'm going to read the major arcana cards. So we move on to the Magician in November. And the Magician is that new creation. I mean, it's literally like coming out of this Hermit energy. Refreshed, renewed. It's kind of almost... I don't know if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, but that's kind of how it's coming through for me. He's like, this is old Gandalf. And this is when he kind of comes back after fighting the Balrog. And he's kind of Gandalf the White, whereas this is Gandalf the Grey. This is Gandalf the White. Don't know where that came from. But that's literally how it's coming through for me here. It's like real mastery. Like really kind of being on top of your world, on top of the creation of your world, knowing that you're in charge, that you create your own happiness, you create your own security, you create your relationships, your everything stems from you and your emotional vibration. Your vibration, where you are at on an emotional vibratory level, will and where you kind of concentrate your mind, which is kind of how I'm seeing this light here, where you concentrate your mind will be what you bring into and manifest into the physical realm, because this is all about the tools being gathered here, and each one of these represents aspects. Like this is the mind, so the mind is the thought, the original initial thought for something, and then we have the wands, the creativity, the fire, the drive, the passion, with the emotional water, feeling energy, like does it feel right, does it feel good? And then we have at the bottom the pentacle, which represents the physical plane, which is where we bring it into and manifest it into the physical. And this is something that it's always been, but we have kind of been cut off from knowing and understanding this. And that, I feel, is why you have here the 8 of air, because there's this kind of energy of being trapped in this sense of, how can I put it, like a certain mindset. Sorry, I've got itchy nose. And it's coming through as this mindset of how you've been taught. I'm going to go back to the tower energy here as well, of conditioning and education, like all the structural things that you have to go through as a young child that has brought you to this kind of point of releasing with the 8 of air. There's a deeper understanding happening here as we get to the end of 2022. There's kind of this deeper understanding and awakening to something else. And I also see this as you kind of, with this 8 of air energy, you releasing all of that. Again, more releasing energy, releasing all of this old kind of belief systems. Because this energy, I feel like, is going to be very relevant throughout the whole of 2022, 2023. It's not an energy that's going anywhere fast. In that sense, it's not going to be moving out of the life of a Taurus for a few years yet. So and then, oh, sorry, let me just do a quick confirmation energy here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there we have it. All the baggage, all the conditioning, all of the oppressive, kind of very Taurus, if you like, and I mean this in the nicest way, of kind of fixed energy of this is how it is, this is how it's always been done, this is how I was brought up to understand things. And this is kind of saying drop it all, let it go. It's not working for you anymore. This is the baggage that needs to be let go of. Stop trying to kind of push it in front of you. And it's interesting as well, because it is like a guard in a way. It is like a way of protecting yourself there, Taurus. Kind of hiding behind that conditioning and that stubborn, fixed energy. whereas this just wants to kind of come out and shine. Shine a new light on your life here, Taurus. That baggage has to go. Nope. Let's read the card first. So the Moon card is the card that we're ending here, and it's in reverse. And I always see this card, like if it's upright, it's a full moon. If it's in reverse, it's a new moon. So this is new moon energy in the sense of kind of like going, again, withdrawing within, which I feel is quite the thing for you near the end of 2022. Is much more kind of inner, more reflective, retrospective, kind of really kind of taking a look back over where you've come from over this past year is kind of what's coming through here. And we have the Four of Earth, which is often seen as a card of kind of holding on to something and kind of really not wanting to let something go. But I always see this, for me, this is the moth to the flame card. The moth being called to the light. And of course, moths always come out at night as well. They are night creatures. So there's something here about that introspective, kind of the darkness, but the darkness in the sense of kind of peace. Finding that your light in the darkness, or becoming the light in the darkness. It almost like this is kind of coming through as a light, like a what are they called? Brain's going completely dead now. A lighthouse, like coming through as a lighthouse, like a beacon of light here. I'm seeing that with this, like with this is actually a waterfall falling down if you turn it up that way. But again, it's kind of see that as being that. It's like going within and finding your intuition, your hidden talents, your hidden skills. The moon energy also relates to Cancerian energy as well, so it also can relate to, because it's the moon, it can relate to that nurturing, mothering side. So it could also be about nurturing something within yourself here. Things are hidden. With the new moon, things are hidden. Things are yet to come to light. But it does feel as though there's something coming like out of this, like a real transformation is how it's coming through. Like a big transformative energy of you kind of coming out as this kind of radiant being that kind of knows, it's like it's been in the dark, it's been through the dark, you've worked with your shadow and your shadow self, your inner child. You've done a lot of releasing and letting go, and it's kind of, this is what's emerging. And it's very beautiful, in fact. So let's see. And for some Taurians, this could also be like this emergence of this very like connected to other realms, like with these antennae here. Like you're connecting with other beings on a much greater level, like really tuned in. And we have this, we have the 5 of Wands and the King of Wands as well. So altogether that's 6 wands, which actually makes it, this energy here, actually kind of brings out this sense of overcoming things, I feel. Because the 5 of Wands can talk about battling with yourself, like battling with your own insecurities, your own fears, all the things that kind of keep you awake. And I always liken it to kind of the monster under the bed, that when you're younger, this monster's like huge, it's massive, and like it's going to get you every time you kind of try to get into your bed, so you end up having to leap, and then one, you know, leaping onto your bed all the time. One day you kind of decide that you're going to face this monster and kind of look at it in the face and see it for what it really is, and it kind of becomes something that's not even real, you know, kind of, you manage to deflate that fear, is how it's coming through here with this 6, because this is coming, for me, this is like, that's this 6 here. So you're facing your monsters, you're facing your fears, you're facing your own insecurities and all those things that have held you back and stopped you from being this. And there's going to be, like, again, I see that as this real confidence, this light here, and also this kind of, this King of Wands kind of burning through all of this, just burning through it all with this kind of real sense of confidence. No longer feeling as though you're not capable, that you can't do it, whatever that may be. You can, you're overcoming. And you're really emerging. It's like emerging from that cocoon into this beautiful kind of, I mean, personally, I think that moths are more beautiful than butterflies. I think they're much more intricate patterns, and I know butterflies are very pretty when it comes with all their colours, and they are beautiful, but I find moths much more kind of like subtly beautiful. And that's kind of what's coming through here. It's like the light from within, Taurus. So, yeah, Namaste cards quickly for Taurus. Namaste blessing cards for Taurus. What are the Namaste blessing cards for Taurus? Namaste blessing cards for Taurus. Thank you. Just the one. Look at that light. That looks really like a bright light to me. Very kind of similar. Shining that light. Okay, so what's it say? Blessing from the light. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You cannot make this stuff up, I tell you. So you are dearly loved more than you can possibly imagine, and you are never alone, A universe of love and light surrounds you and showers you with blessings that ebb and flow in your heart. So, all about the light. Finding that light from within. Taurus, it feels like that's what this journey is about for 2022. Finding the light from within. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Not that I've actually called any of the others anything, although I've only done one before, but so far. And I didn't name that one. What have we got? Oh, empowerment. Wow. So when you ask the divine to take over, you get pulled into your own authentic power. It's a force of inner love that wants your wholeness and magnificence. Unfold my true and radiant self, dear Lord. Fantastic, Taurus. It's coming. Just got to get through to the end of the year. And it will all have been worth it. Is what I want to say. It will all have been worth it. So I'm going to leave the reading there and say thank you very much for listening and watching me, and for subscribing and liking my videos. If you have found this any interest or learned anything from it, then please could you thumbs it up for me, because it does really help with those YouTube algorithms to kind of get them out into the bigger YouTube platform, and hopefully other people can connect with it, and if it gets recommended, then it gets kind of more people tend to come back and follow your channel as well, which is really what I'm aiming for at this time. So if you haven't subscribed already, please could you do so as well, because that would really help to boost my channel, which is what I'm trying to do for 2022, is really grow my channel and yeah, have much more kind of input output out there. So thank you very much for being a part of this, and I'm wishing you all the best and many blessings, Taurus, for 2022, and hopefully see you all again soon. Take care.